So changing things up today a little bit, my dudes, we're going to be doing an interview with one of my buddies, Bill, who was unjustly treated and had some pretty terrible things happen to him locally here in Woodford County. So that being said, we'll go ahead and just, get her started. Why exactly are you wanting this interview to be done exactly?
I think the people, the public, need to know what EMS and hospitals can do to a person.
Tell us more about you and what you do so that way our viewers can get more of a vibe for you as a person.
My name is William Kenneth Anderson, 56 years old, born in the United States. Did construction most of my life in security, most of my life. I became sick 20 years ago, medically disabled. So during this time, instead of waiting to die, I decided that I was going to spend a lot of my time helping people and helping the community. I was well known for being Baldy Bill. I had quite a few stores, limousine service, and I like donating to people in need, people who need help, a chance given to them. You can find me on Facebook and the internet as Baldy Bill. I'm doing a couple of my giveaways and my fundraisers. Wild Bill Anderson on Facebook is my current Facebook. I like giving away toys. I like giving away bicycles. I like doing what I can for the community. I'm just here being the best I can be.
Tell us who did this to you and who all exactly was involved in this case of malpractice or medical malpractice and assault upon you and just extremely unprofessional conduct and the cover-up.
Basic EMT, the driver, her name is Hannah Gerber. The doctor at Eureka Carl Hospital is Dr. John Kell, Nurse Brock, and Andrew Burgess, the police officer for falsifying reports.
By the way, that's also not the first time that Burgess has done things such as falsifying records. He's actually fired from Galesburg Police Department because of doing this action previously. Take a deep breath real quick because we are processing a decent amount of information. So when and what exactly happened during this whole series of unfortunate and terrible events?
It was April 8th, 2022. I had walked to the neighbor's house and I was sitting there talking to him just like I'm talking to you guys now. And I had turned to my left to grab a soda to get a drink, and at that moment I felt my body quit working. And I was like, this is weird. And then all of a sudden I had this loud sucking sound up the back left side of my head. And at that same moment, my vision was going out. I was sitting down, so I wasn't falling over, but I was passing out. When I got my bearings back, I was actually able to talk, and I was hollering at Robin and Vic, I need help, something's happening in my head. I need help, get me outside because I'm gonna start throwing up instantly. I lost my vision, it came back. So I guess I got outside and I got to the porch and I was instantly heaving and throwing up over and over and over. And I'm thinking I'm dying because I'm losing control of my body parts. I remember my left arm and my left leg, even though I can move them, they felt like they were hundreds of pounds. So it was just like I didn't even want to try to move them. I remember hanging onto the pole. Then they said they were calling 911 for me. I remember that part. I remember being on the porch and I remember seeing somebody in my face, and I remember begging for for help and get my wife and my roommate Laramie. And while we were out on the porch, I guess they realized that no ambulance ever showed up. It had been 18 minutes later, and the ambulance is 7.5 blocks up the street with the hospital. I guess they had to call 911 again for me. Next thing I recall, being on a gurney and going down to the rock driveway. I remember being slammed into the back once they rolled the cart into the ambulance. When I was laying on my back in the back of the ambulance and looking, I could barely see the bottom of a phone in my face, and her asking me multiple times why.
Why? 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 Why?
I did not want to go to Carl Eureka Hospital, which was stated to her on the front porch by everybody there. And it was about what they did to my wife. Not once, multiple times. My words were, don't take me to Carl Eureka Hospital. They are a piece of shit. I wouldn't even let them work on my dog because they're not qualified. That is the reason why the ego of Dr. John Kell got away from him, and that's why he assaulted me, because he didn't like what I was saying. And then I remember being on my face. My next recall is driving down the road while I'm still on my face thinking, is this really happening? I'm on my face in the back of an ambulance. And I remember being able to see at that point, because I was so close to the floor, my face was laying on the floor, that I could tell I was looking at diamond tuck flooring. They didn't strap me in a gurney. I hung upside down, and they let me hang upside down for 7.5 blocks while having a stroke.
Alright, so if you guys truly want justice to be served for Bill and things to be more like how they should be in local communities and just across our country here in the US, hit the shit out of that like button and share the fuck out of this video, because the more of us that do, the more people that see this and the more likely we are to see things be just, fair, and right. But with that being out of the way, we'll go and hop right back on into the interview.
As we turned the corners, I knew exactly where we were at. I don't know how. And I remember hearing Hannah Gerber yell from the front of the truck, "Hold on, Mr. Anderson, we're almost there." The next vivid memory I had was hearing the door slam open in the back of the ambulance as it was backing into the hospital. The doctor assumed that I was drunk or on drugs. As I rolled over to have somebody assist me back up into the gurney, I was chest blasted by somebody because I was going blind from the stroke. My head folded back into the floor. They picked me up far enough to get my ass off the gurney and then threw me into the gurney. When my head bounced on the gurney, it knocked me out all the way. Now you got to think, people, I'm having a stroke. Instantly called for help, grabbed my head, profusely vomiting, complaining I couldn't see, my eyes were jerking back and forth left and right. Then I get assaulted by somebody in the back. I couldn't see their faces, but I knew they had dark hair and they had massive hands. I mean, when they hit me, it made my chest sore. All they had to do was reach underneath my armpits and roll me back up into that gurney because my hips were still attached inside the gurney. My upper body was not strapped in and I was hanging out for whatever reason.
Who exactly was the person that did that act to you?
Once the investigation was done, the person turned out to be Dr. John Kell. Next thing you know, I'm waking up a day later in my bed trying to figure out what the hell happened to me, and I'm like, something happened to me. I'm in severe pain. My muscles are so sore from multiple hours of nonstop throwing up. I'm waking up and I'm in my bed and I'm going, I'm fully dressed. Something happened. I knew I had a medical emergency. It felt like a dream. I'm trying to move to get out of my bed. My muscles are so sore. My head is just pounding. I mean, we're talking, this was violent. I am in total shock that I'm in my house after what happened to me. I get up, my roommate's here, my wife's still sleeping. I'm not gonna wake her up because she'd been up all night with me because I was sick. So I contacted Robin across the street and she's like thinking maybe I'm in the hospital because I'm talking to her on Facebook. But I'm actually home. When I knocked on her door, she was in total shock that it was me walking through her door. She's trying to figure out why I'm not still in the hospital. When I showed her the paperwork, other things started coming to light. In the reports stating that somebody else was driving that ambulance, somebody else was in the back of that ambulance, and the fact that I was hanging upside down in the back of that ambulance, she documented as Mr. Anderson was riding in comfort.
Oh yeah, just totally the most comfortable ride of your life, right? Just flopping around, having a stroke. It's 10 out of 10, the best experience possible.
Then we come to find out that they had said that they had picked me up for diarrhea and dizziness. I was treated for having diarrhea. Again, that's pretty evident. If I'm screaming this to a doctor telling him I ain't got diarrhea, then to find myself waking up a day later in my bed to see the document saying that they treated me for an ear infection and diarrhea. But guess what? I laid in a hospital bed at a place where I wasn't supposed to be for 5 hours. As soon as I told the doctor what happened, he started accusing me of being on drugs. As soon as I repeated that over and over, and they asked me multiple times, waking me up to ask me what drugs and what I drank, and I told him nothing, and my wife told him nothing. He says, bullshit. And then they take advantage of a person that has autism, and you got in her face, from what I understand, and yelled and screamed at her face, telling her it was her responsibility to keep me from throwing up, which you guys could not stop me from doing. Now, what is it? Do I have diarrhea, ear infection, or throwing up? So when we immediately figured out that everybody put all the paperwork together of Eureka EMT and Eureka Carl Hospital and what they wrote and what they said, we instantly knew it was a cover-up because they didn't send out a paramedic. They were told to transport me. They refused to transport me and left me lay in a bed for 5.5 hours and then told my wife to wake me up and I could sleep it off at home. I was having a stroke. I wasn't drunk or on drugs, and they were told it multiple times. They didn't even take blood to test it. They just accused me of it. Released me to somebody who has Asperger's and they're trying to play it off. We knew that there was something funky going wrong. and they were trying to do something stupid with this. So we decided to call the state police and ask them to do a report because we didn't trust the Eureka Police Department because of what was going on, and talked to a gentleman there and told him what was happening. And he goes, Bill, he goes, why don't we go ahead and give them a try and let them see what they do. I said, well, as long as this is documented, I don't care, and I'll go ahead and let them try. Days later, me and my roommate, Laramie Bodine, he'd been with me 12 or 13 years, we went up to Eureka Police Department, right into the lobby, and we filed those charges against Dr. John Kell. The receiving police officer doing the report was Andrew Burgess. He was not happy and was asking me why I waited so long to file charges against this doctor, which I told him it was none of his business. I have the right, 2 years, to file any charges. I told him what the doctor did to me, and I told him on camera in the lobby that all he had to do is get him in front of a judge, and I will prove 110% that Dr. John Kell assaulted me and caused all these other medical issues like the injury to my neck, which everybody will tell you I've had for 2 years. So after doing so, I filed those reports against Dr. John Kell. I hadn't heard anything from the state's attorney or anybody. So it's been close to a month. So I decided, when I called, and I had witnesses because I use a loudspeaker because of my hearing issues, and I asked what happened with my case. And Greg Minear, district attorney here in Eureka, he says, there was no findings in that bill. I'm like, what do you mean no findings? I was assaulted and knocked out in a back of an ambulance, and I filed charges against Dr. Kell. Next thing you know, he says, Bill, Dr. John Kell's name's never in this report whatsoever. I'm pissed off. I tell him that he's got a crooked cop on his hands, and come to find out, I do a live report about this Andrew Burgess falsifying reports, not even naming the person that I named as in the assault in the case. Next thing I know, I'm getting bombarded through Facebook and people sending me documentations of Andrew Burgess being fired from a previous police department for falsifying records and whatnot before.
Wow.
That's pretty damn sad. I'm glad I called the state police and made that documentation.
Now, there are 5 affidavits to back this up too, and I'll leave a link for you guys to click on so you guys can read them all for yourselves and stuff like that in the comments section. These affidavits came from the people that were witnessing it, that one of them being Robin, who previously was a nurse. Then there's her husband Vic, who is an ex-cop, as well as, you know, one of Bill's close friends of several years, Laramie, who is ex-military and apparently worked at the Pentagon as well too. They don't have criminal backgrounds. They're good citizens and good people, you feel me? I've met them personally, and they're not bad people. They have the non-criminal background to back it up. And then, you know, the other one is Bill's wife of several years, Stacy. So that's gonna be it for us today, my dudes. If you guys did enjoy, you feel me, and want to see justice for a good, hardworking, innocent man like Bill, don't forget to, you know, hit that like button and share the shit out of this video, as well as, you know, smash the subscribe button if you want even more content like this, completely raw, uncensored, and keeping it 1,000,000% real with you. We're dedicated to exposing corruption and these shitty systems that we live in, and just spreading the truth. And if we want to see justice for Bill, we need to share the shit out of this video. You guys, share this to your friends, your family, etc. The more people that see this stuff, the more likely justice is going to happen for Bill, and Woodford County is going to get cleaned of the corruption that's been plaguing it for a long ass fucking time. Now, if you guys did make it to this point in the video, go on and leave the word malpractice in the comment section down below to let me know that you made it to the end and that you guys are part of the 1,000,000% tribe. Also, if you guys would like a more interactive experience with us, come join us live every Wednesday and Friday from 8:30 to 10:30 p.m. Central Time generally, where we talk about stuff like this, conspiracy facts of the day, share dark humored memes, and just vibe out and have a good time playing games such as Pokemon Unite, Fortnite, etc. Whatever really floats the mood for us, you feel me? But we'd love to have more people there. The more the merrier, right? But until I see you guys next, please don't forget to, you know, keep it 1,000,000% real, and as always, fuck the system. I'll see you guys on the flip side. Z-Tribe. Yo!
My people of this country, and we're under attack. They banning us, they cancel us for speaking the facts. If you man enough, come stand with us, take USA back. And every time we pull up, all you're gonna see is American flag.